Chris Bishop, editor of Forbes Africa Magazine, joins me in a studio to discuss the latest issue hitting the shelves this week, and also takes us through the Standard Chartered Wealth Creation supplement that you'll also be getting in the magazine. So it's a 2-for-1 this month. So certainly don't say Forbes doesn't look out for you during Christmas. Nice Christmas gift there, Chris, to give your readers. But before we touch on the supplement, the cover, who is on the cover this month?
Well, it's Adrian Gore for the second time. There you are, there he is in his full glory. The smooth disruptor. I tossed up a little bit. I was going to call him the cool disruptor. But I thought smooth is a bit better than cool for Adrian. He's very much a smooth man. But it's a good time to do it. I mean, for a start, what we decided to do with Forbes was the big hitters, like Dangote, like Adrian Gore.
Sure.
We've decided to do them twice. I mean, the last time we did them was like 5 years ago, and a lot has happened since then. He's still worth about $560 million. And next year he's going to a whole new territory. I mean, he's launching a bank with Discovery now.
Do you know what? Let's just see a bit of what to expect there from Adrian in the latest issue of Forbes Africa. Jay Cabot spoke to one of South Africa's greatest entrepreneurs, Discovery co-founder Adrian Gore, and he asked him about his next venture into banking.
We've been working for 2 years on it. Now it's progressed, I think, very well. Very strong team of people. We are now licensed and in play in a way where we're in the payment systems and testing all the pipes. So we've kind of built this thing bottom up properly. There's been no shortcuts in terms of capital, in terms of building it. But the actual value proposition, I can't say much about. I mean, obviously we are working along the Discovery model, which we believe in very strongly. The data through the Discovery card has shown how powerful that is. So in that process, all those learnings are being built into the bank. But the value proposition itself, which we think will be good for customers, I mean, that's what we do, is still under wraps. Give us time to develop that and communicate that.
And how much have you guys invested into it?
We will probably invest in total by the launch probably $1.5 billion in the build of the bank. So it's a considerable build. As I say, there was been no, we had ideas of partnering in the early thinking of this years ago. I think we came to the conclusion that just given the technology, given the ability to start again, no legacy, let's do it slower but proper. And that's kind of the strategy.
Very interesting strategy. I couldn't help but notice his award trophy from the Avlas last year. It's so nice to see that he's very proud of it. He's got it there in his office.
Oh, no, it's nice that he's made the cover of Forbes twice now. But I mean, I think he's a very brave man. I mean, $1.5 billion at a time when the banking industry is struggling like hell, when companies are dying for cash everywhere, and he's pouring this in. I mean, one thing about him, I mean, he started off as an actuary about 20 or 30 or 25 years ago, and he built up this business from nothing, Discovery. And you look at it now, this is how he did it, I think. He got his ducks in a row, took that leap of faith.
No, for sure. He's definitely stirred things up there in the financial services insurance industry. We've seen what Discovery has become. So therefore, I mean, if you take past record as a measure of a person's ability, what he's going to do with the bank should be equally as great.
Well, I think everyone's going to watch. But as I say, with bank to wealth creation, and also another part of
the new supplement.
Yeah, the new supplements.
Right.
Some wealth creation supplement, wealth management supplement, sorry, Standard Chartered Bank. They came up with it, and some fascinating stuff in here. I think this particular time of the economic life of this continent, I think is one that everyone should read. I think that I think there's a time when there's a huge market opening up. I think there's a lot of wealth creation. I mean, look, the World Wealth Report said that that the amount of high net worth individuals grew by 8.1% in Africa, and the affluence overall increased by 10.7%. Now, the time when the world is suffering in terms of economic problems, it seems this continent keeps growing. It's got this huge youthful population. It's got a lot of investment, and there's a lot of interest here still. I mean, if you look at the returns you can get in this continent, still 2 or 3 times what you could get in the Northern Hemisphere.
And that's even with all its challenges. I mean, we do know what the volatility, particularly around commodity prices, has done for the continent's growth. The political instability has done for the continent's growth. But you've got wealthy businessmen there that are even looking within this very difficult environment, managing to increase their returns. Very, very inspiring.
Well, we made this, try and make this a good read. And there's a few tips in here talking about favoured asset classes. For instance, there's a lot of properties being redeveloped. In fact, actually, one of the stories we have in Forbes is about a guy, that's how he made his fortune, just buying places, doing them up, renting them out, selling them on. And there's a lot of interest in that. There's also an interesting thing I got here was that according to the IDC, the number of smartphones in Africa is more than 95 million. I mean, that's incredible.
On the continent.
That's enough to give everybody in sub-Saharan Africa one each. I mean, it's incredible. And now they're saying that the interesting thing for investors is that a lot of people are trying to build their own here now in the continent and start a little industry going here rather than importing all stuff from China, which happens at the moment.
We've certainly seen that, and I think just to add on to the growth in smartphones, many people say that, I mean, more people are going to have phones than actual bank accounts because smartphones are making it easier to, transact, to send money, and so I suppose that feeds into the growth there.
Yeah, I mean, overall in this supplement as well, it's all about investing now, the path to financial freedom, how you can, in later life, if you make the right decisions.
Financial freedom, wow, that's a big one, particularly here in South Africa, given that, I mean, we are so highly indebted and we've got like a zero savings rate, so that would definitely make for an interesting read.
And also from a Forbes point of view, I like this one here, the Forbes class of billionaires, which we also got in there, some of the biggest names on the continent, Patrice Motsepe, Dangote, Christo Wiese, Nicky Oppenheimer, and just basic briefs on how they made their money. So it's an interesting read, and I think that one certainly should be looking to take to the beach this summer. I
mean, just as we wrap up, Chris, we sat at the All Africa Business Leader Awards last week, and you did mention before that it was a tough year to be in business. I mean, what do you think these guys are thinking about for 2018? How do you think?
Well, I think it's only going to get tougher, but sometimes that's when people shine. I mean, if you see the stories of these billionaires, sometimes it's the worst times. When everybody, they all made mistakes. Dangote, the rest, they all got rid of all their money. They lost millions somewhere, and they learned from it. They toughened up. They moved on. They learned their lessons. And I think sometimes bad, terrific, tough times we're looking to next year, I think can actually throw forward more sharper business people you can see. I mean, it's the oldest thing in the book, but I mean, I think it bears out true that some people see problems, the entrepreneurs see opportunities.
How diamonds are made, yeah?
Exciting times.
Well, Chris, thanks so much for your time as always. That was Chris Bishop, editor of Forbes Africa Magazine.